Hello everybody, this is Desmond520, and today on Black Ops Cold War Beta, I'm going to be rounding out my review of the weapons we had access to over this weekend. This will include the pistols, the shotgun, or not the, the pistols, the shotguns, the rocket launcher, and the light machine guns. So firstly, I'm going to talk about the pistols first. So let's get into it. So the 1911, which is the starting pistol, is a 3 to 4 shot kill at most ranges, sometimes 5 shots at long range. Has fairly good range, has somewhat high recoil but controllable, fast reloads, and overall just very good. Standouts of it are its high damage, its good DPS against other weapons, and how versatile it is. I recommend it over all the other pistols, at least at the moment. The Diamatti is a burst fire pistol with a, I believe it's a 18 round mag, 21 round mag. Don't quote me on that because I only had access to it with attachments built in. But the weapon is a 3 round burst pistol, with its standouts being its low damage, somewhat unwieldy recoil. Anywhere past point blank, and a lack of real usability due to connection. It has the same issue that the M16 does, is where if you don't have a perfect connection or the hit detection is not great for you, you're going to be losing gunfights every time. But even in the situations where I would be using it and I had good connections, I just found myself losing constantly to most assault rifles and to most, even other pistols like the 1911 would constantly beat me. So I just think right now it's not a very great weapon, although I can say it, once we get access to like more sights and stuff like that, and potentially more attachments for it, it could be a very good sniper backup weapon, though I still believe the 1911 is better. On to the shotguns. So we have the Hauer, or the Hay, or whatever you want to call it, 77. Your standard pump action shotgun. It comes with a 5-round magazine. As for standouts of it, it has an extremely low one-shot kill range, and even while aiming down sights, the range I've got my max one-shot kill at was around 5 meters, which I think is kind of bad for a pump action. I know that they're secondary, so they would be a bit nerfed, but overall I think that they should probably just slightly buff the shotgun's damage range. In terms of other things, it is very slow handling, and I find it very, very bad after the first shot. So I find its biggest note being the fact that it is only very good in very, very, very close quarter scenarios. Next up is the Gallo, or the Gaio, whatever you want to call it. It's the Spaz 12. Semi-auto starts with 8-round mags. Obviously is a 2 to probably 5-ish shot kill within the range you'd be using it. Its range is also pretty low, but it consistently is 2 to 3 shot kills in most ranges you would be using it. The 4 and 5 shot kills I have gotten with it. Overall, I think it's the best shotgun just because even if you do miss that first shot, unlike the Hauer, you can still continuously pump out damage fast enough to do it. As for notes about it, it has a fairly good reload speed, fairly high rate of fire, and it's the most consistent of all the close quarters secondaries. Next up we have the rocket launcher, which I'm not even going to name it because I don't feel like it. It is your standard lock-on whilst having free fire option enabled. Overall, I have 3 notes about it. One is that I don't know whether it was the increase in health in kill streaks, or score streaks, sorry, or something else. But overall, I think the rocket launcher is way too weak right now. I think it should have its damage increased by like an extra 25, maybe even 50%. Because right now, it takes around 4 shots into a heli to kill it, and that's not including flares. UAVs take 1, and then counter UAVs take 2. I think overall that counter UAVs should be fine taking out in 2 hits, but I think the rest of them should have their damage, the damage against them heightened just because of the fact it takes so many shots to kill. Otherwise, its infantry damage isn't very remarkable, but that's not surprising. As for my big stance, though, once again, too low of a damage for a rocket launcher. A reload speed that is very slow, but also has a very, very fast reload cancel, and the fact that it does have a quite fast lock-on to vehicles. So next up, we're going to go over the two last weapons, which are the light machine guns, the Stoner and the RPD. So the Stoner is a low-damage LMG, being a 4-shot kill, a 4 or 5-shot kill in most ranges. I have seen it get to 6 though this could be error on my part. The weapon starts off with a base 75 round mag, is belt fed, and is slightly faster firing at around 760 RPM, it feels like. I wasn't able to test the fire rate because I didn't have any attachments unlocked, and you'll see why. Overall, I find the weapon very bad, just in general. The weapon is too slow handling to be used at close range, but does not have the damage at long range to make it sustainable. Overall, it's just way too slow and doesn't do things that I think it should correctly. My biggest hope is that they will give it the Black Ops 1 treatment, and that there will be an option to give it 30 or 60 round standard mags instead of the belt fed, which will allow it to be used sort of like a semi-assault rifle. That would make it much more valuable in its sort of assault rifle LMG hybrid role that it's trying to fill. Otherwise, a range buff or a damage buff in general would be very good. At least a long range damage buff. Otherwise, like I said, my main points being the fact that it just needs a buff. It doesn't compete very well, and it doesn't do what it's supposed to do very well either. So lastly, we have the RPD. The RPD is a high damage, which is a 3 to 4 shot weapon generally, sometimes 5 shots, with very low recoil, although the visual recoil is kind of bouncy. And it also has a 100 round box mag by default, although, at least from what I remember. It could be 50, but we haven't gotten to play with it outside of beta gameplay from the custom classes. Sorry about that, meant the base classes. Although in the alpha it also started at, I think it was 75 or 50 rounds, so don't quote me on the mag size base. But overall, notes for the weapon are it's very good damage and range, it's very low recoil, and it's very consistent, overall just very consistent nature. I think there should be no changes to this weapon. Whilst it is kind of slow handling wise, it makes sense for an LMG. But I do believe it is the best LMG right now, and is actually one of the better weapons in the game, just due to how high its damage is. And this weapon actually gives me an idea for the AK. In my opinion, I think the AK should have slightly lower but similar damage to the RPD, namely allowing it to be a 3-shot kill to the upper chest, maybe not to the lower chest, but like the snipers in the game so far give it like that as its 3-shot kill areas, and up. And I think the AK would become very good. Just a thing from looking at the weapon. Other than that, guys, this concludes my review until we get access to the 3 new weapons, I believe, or 4 new weapons, something like that. I did forget to review the Magnum, so I'll review that now, just in later note. The Magnum, or 44 Magnum, 6-shot pistol, kind of average, 2 to like 4-shot kill at any range, from what I've seen. Kind of slow, but does have a decent reload speed from what I've seen. I've only been able to use it and cut in the base class that carries it. Overall, things about it are that it has pretty good range. It has slightly bad body multipliers on the bullets, if it does have multipliers at all. And overall, the weapon is very good, but only very good in close quarters scenarios or for people with really, really good aim. That being said, though, like I said, I will be reviewing the new weapons once I get a chance to play with them during the beta weekend 2, which will be up on Thursday this week for anyone who is on PS4. For those who are pre-ordering on Xbox or PC, you guys will be getting it on Thursday as well. That being said, this is Des12530. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video of me talking about the guns I've played with. And with all that being said, this is me playing some COD Beta and some Rogue Company. Signing off.
Enemy spy planes inbound.